Tonight and Waodo.
Hello and welcome. Tonight, President Bola Tinubu decorates the newly appointed service chiefs, directs them to intensify efforts against nationwide security threats and safeguard citizens. Newly decorated service chiefs assume duties, a pledge to intensify operations against terrorism, banditry, and widespread criminal activities nationwide. Tragic accident on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway's Kara Bridge claimed the lives of at least 6 people.
And on business, President Tinubu approves 15% tariff on petrol and diesel imports to protect local refineries.
I will begin tonight with a charge from President Bola Tinubu to the new service chiefs to carry out their duties with patriotic zeal as Nigerians are in a hurry to celebrate peace and expect results, not excuses. Speaking at the decoration ceremony for the service chiefs after their nominations had been confirmed by both the Senate and the House of Representatives, the President directed them to be innovative, preemptive, and courageous. In response to that charge, the Chief of Defense Staff, General Olufemi Oluyede, who spoke on behalf of the service chiefs, pledged to combat terrorism and criminality and ensure Nigeria's safety and economic growth. Our State House correspondent, Larry Lasisi, reports.
It was a short but eventful ceremony. The decoration of the new service chiefs. Present is the Vice President, other service chiefs, the leadership and members of the National Assembly, some governors, ministers, and other dignitaries. The ceremony commences once the President is seated. Starting with the Chief of Defense Staff, his citation is read, and accompanied by his wife, he is decorated with his new rank of General. One after the other, the service chiefs follow that order and are decorated. The Chief of Defense Intelligence, who was retained by the President, Lieutenant General Emmanuel Udendeyi. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Waidi Shaibu. Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Idi Abbas. And the Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Kevin Aneki. shortly afterwards, the CDS pledged to combat terrorism and criminality to ensure Nigeria's safety and economic growth.
I want to assure Mr. President and all Nigerians today that we will do our utmost best to ensure that we rid Nigeria of all forms of criminality and make Nigeria safer so that socio-economic endeavors can thrive.
In his remarks, President Tinubu applauds the efforts of servicemen and women and their families as he calls for decisive action.
Security threats are constantly evolving, constantly mutating. We must not allow these new threats to fester. We must be decisive and proactive. Let us smash the new snakes right in the head.
The President is clear on the task before the new service chiefs.
I charge you, as the head of our nation's armed forces, to carry out your duties with patriotic zeal Nigerians expect result, and not excuses. We are in a hurry to celebrate peace. Let us deploy technology where necessary. We cannot allow the crisis that began in year 2009 to persist any longer. It is time to defeat the enemies.
The President has directed the service chiefs to work with other security agencies and defeat these enemies once and for all. Clean them up, clear them up. That is the order from the President. From the Presidential Villa, Lanre Lasisi, Channels Television News.
And at the House of Representatives, 6 opposition members in the House have defected to the ruling All Progressives Congress. The House is also pushing for a bill on digital birth and death registration. Our National Assembly correspondent Terry Ikumi reports.
For the final plenary session of the week, the House receives the national chairman of the All Progressives Congress and the governor of Enugu State, who recently defected from the People's Democratic Party to the ruling All Progressives Congress. Their presence in the chamber is to witness the defection of 6 members of the House to the APC, 1 from Plateau and 5 from Enugu State. Afterwards, the Speaker takes his leave and the rest of plenary is presided over by the Deputy Speaker. All matters on the order paper are stepped down, while the House expeditiously receives, considers and approves the report of its ad hoc committee on the screening of the nominees for appointment as Chief of Defense Staff and Service Chiefs.
The nominees showed courage. Mr. Chairman, the nominees were seasoned. Mr. Chairman, the nominees showed discipline. Mr. Chairman, the nominees were visionary.
It is the Chairman's report that the House and the Committee of the Whole consider the report of the ad hoc committee on the screening of the nominees for appointment as Chief of Defense Staff and Service Chiefs of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and approve recommendations 1, 2, 3, 4 of the reports.
Remittances and the multiple charges.
Outside the chamber, an ad hoc committee of the House commences investigation into tax deductions and multiple bank charges.
And let me say it to my brothers and sisters there at the agencies and banks. It is very bad for government to make laws, yet we don't obey them. I want to beg everybody, no matter how placed you are, or your organization is being placed, we will not take it for granted. The people that are supposed to get what they are supposed to get should get it.
Meanwhile, the House Committee on Population has held a public hearing on a bill to repeal and reenact the Births and Deaths Compulsory Registration Act.
Accurate and timely vital.
The chairman of the committee highlights the importance of the bill being considered.
The reforms of our vital registration system is not just a bureaucratic exercise, it is a national imperative. By modernizing this act, We will strengthen national identity management. We will improve governance. We will enhance national security and build a data-driven foundation for sustainable development.
The current Act, enacted decades ago, was designed for a different era, an era without digital tools, limited communication system, and a less dynamic population.
Participants at the hearing believe that the bill aligns with international best practices and provides a legal foundation for effective civil registration in Nigeria. Terry Ikumi, Channels Television News.
The Chief of Defense Staff, Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluyede, and the newly confirmed service chiefs have assumed duties at the headquarters of their various services in Abuja with a promise to sustain the ongoing fight against terrorism, banditry and other forms of criminality across the country. The 4 service chiefs who were confirmed by the National Assembly are Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluyede as the Chief of Defense Staff, Major General Waidi Shaibu as the Chief of Army Staff, Rear Admiral Idi Abbas as Chief of Naval Staff, and Air Vice Marshal Kennedy Aneke as Chief of Air Staff.
The Defense Headquarters witnessed a beehive of activities as the immediate past Chief of Defense Staff and other service chiefs handed over the baton of leadership to their successors. The day's event begins with the new Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Waidi Shaibu, pledging to confront the rising security challenges in the country.
As you transit to Defense Headquarters, I wish to assure you that I will do everything to advance the transformation of the Nigerian Army into a professional, innovative, and formidable force that is agile, adaptable, combat resilience, capable of decisively discharging its constitutional responsibility within a joint and multi-agency environment.
At the Naval Headquarters, the new Chief of Naval Staff equally assumed office with a pledge to intensify the fight against crude oil theft, illegal bunkering, and other maritime crimes threatening Nigeria's economy.
I am not unaware that our maritime environment remains threatened by the scourge of crude oil theft, sea robbery, illegal bunkering, illegal, unreported and unregulated fishing, and drug trafficking. These crimes not only undermine our national economy and energy security, but also threaten the livelihoods of our coastal communities and the economic stability and prosperity of our dear nation.
The immediate past Chief of the Air Staff and his successor also exchanged batons as the new Chief of the Air Staff vowed to sustain the fight against insurgents through improved aerial power.
Together, we will leave no stone unturned in discharging our constitutional roles in conjunction with other sister services, security, intelligence, and law enforcement agencies to bring about swift improvement in the security situation of Nigeria.
On his part, the immediate past CDS, General Christopher Musa, urged the officers and the personnel of the Armed Forces of Nigeria to cooperate with the new Chief of Defense Staff in the nation's interest, as his successor anchors the mantra of his administration on accountability, discipline, adequate welfare, loyalty, and professionalism.
The journey towards a completely secure Nigeria continues, and your role as pillar of truth and unifying force remains critical. I urge you to continue to stand firm for the truth, to uphold the ethics of your noble profession, and to never waver in your support for our nation and the brave men and women in uniform who defend every day.
I wish to reaffirm my total commitment to the defense and security of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The nature of threats confronting our nation, ranging from terrorism, insurgency, and banditry, to emerging cyber, aerial, and maritime security threats, require us to be ever vigilant, innovative, and united. My leadership will therefore be guided by the principles of professionalism, jointness, discipline, innovation, and accountability.
With the handing and taking over ceremonies, the service chiefs appear united, addressing the security challenges confronting the nation with renewed vigor.
In part two, after the break, the European Union's support to democratic governance in Nigeria has proposed 66 actionable recommendations addressing electoral offences and justice framework ahead of Anambra's 2025 off-cycle governorship election. Please join us again. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the News at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our main stories. President Bola Tinubu decorates the newly appointed service chiefs, directs them to intensify efforts against nationwide security threats and safeguard citizens. Newly decorated service chiefs assume duty, pledge to intensify operations against terrorism, banditry, and widespread criminal activities across the country. A tragic accident on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway's Kara Bridge claims the lives of at least 6 people. And Prince Andrew is set to lose his prince title and vacate Royal Lodge after King Charles initiated a formal process renaming him Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. We head to the Red Chamber, where the Senate has confirmed Mr. Bernard Doro as the Minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, following a brief screening session that lasted less than 30 minutes. Mr. Doro, who becomes the 3rd ministerial nominee from Plateau State, used the opportunity to outline his vision of fostering an inclusive humanitarian ecosystem in Nigeria.
This wealth of experiences and certifications, how will you apply that to the service of your nation?
I will be looking to do in order to bring some innovation into the ministry will be to create a humanitarian ecosystem that is efficient, that is transparent, and that is centered on the person that is being cared for. And this is with a view to bringing dignity to the individual, to ensuring that the needs of this individual is met. And I think one of the main things around that is to be able to target the intended individuals that are affected, which is always a challenge. And I believe that technology can help us to be able to achieve that.
Dr. Bernard Mohammed Doro, for appointment as the Minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The appointment of Dr. Bernard Dodo is hereby approved.
It's a day Lagos residents will not forget in a hurry, as yet another accident has occurred at the Otedola Bridge area of the state. The crash, which involved 7 vehicles and an articulated truck, caused major gridlock disruption along the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway near the Lagos-Ogun boundary towards Bega. As at the time of filing this report, no fatality had been recorded, although 1 vehicle occupant sustained a minor head injury. The impact of the accident resulted in heavy gridlock on both sides of the bridge, leaving many commuters stranded for hours. Bridge, known for its steep gradients, has long been identified by engineers and motorists as a high-risk spot. This incline, especially when approaching the Lagos end, has often contributed to serious accidents involving heavy-duty vehicles, frequently linked to brake failure and difficulty in maneuvering. The early hours of today, at least 6 people lost their lives and others were injured following multiple accidents along the Kara Bridge axis of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. An initial accident had occurred on Wednesday night. That accident involved 2 articulated vehicles that collided and got burnt.
It's a Black Thursday in Lagos following a horrific multiple accident that occurred along the Kara Bridge axis of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. An accident involved 4 trucks and a towing vehicle. According to eyewitnesses, one of the trucks lost control and ran into the second, leading into an explosion. The Lagos State Commissioner of Police confirmed that the policeman was among those who died.
It's a case of multiple accidents, which is currently under investigation. We recovered so far 3 bodies and additional 1 body still being looked. And it's very unfortunate that we lost one of our personnel, a police inspector, that came with the advance team to salvage the situation.
Hours later, another accident occurred on the same Kara Bridge, this time involving a smaller truck that got stuck in the middle of the highway. A towing vehicle was in the middle of hauling it when a bigger vehicle rammed into them, causing another multiple accident and gridlock. Other emergency officials were deployed to the scene to manage the situation, clear the wreckage, and restore the free flow of traffic.
I've just directed that the road should be open, creating a 2-way corridor out of this scene of the accident to ensure that Nigerians that are on the queue are not subjected to unpaid hardship. And I've equally directed all the DPOs along this route, inward Lagos and outward Lagos, to go out with their personnel to ensure that we clear the backlog of traffic that can come up as a result of this accident. We want to call on road users, especially those who have articulated vehicles, to stop this kind of recklessness. Because if they are not reckless in their driving habits, we won't have this kind of accident. At the beginning, we had a trailer fail brake, and that's why it is important for everybody that is in charge of a vehicle or that owns a vehicle to ensure that the vehicle are properly maintained on time. All those who are involved in this accident that caused the accident will be prosecuted to serve as deterrent others. The full presence of the law will be prevented.
Hours after there appeared to be some reprieve, one of the trucks involved in the previous accidents conveying carpets was still billowing smoke as officials continue to control the situation.
The European Union support to democratic governance in Nigeria has proposed a total of 66 actionable recommendations covering electoral offences and justice systems on the 2025 Anambra State off-cycle governorship election. Speaking during the public presentation of the Anambra governorship pre-election reports in Abuja, the executive director of the International Press Center, Mr. Lanre Arogundade, says the report covers the period between June and September of rigorous and mixed methods of approach. The assessment by the EU flagship program is consistent with the mission of taking action and engaging in activities that promote transparent elections.
Ahead of the 2025 Anambra State off-cycle governorship elections, the European Union support for democratic governance in Nigeria is meeting with stakeholders and civil society organizations to make a presentation on the pre-election assessment reports and its recommendations. In his opening remarks, the Executive Director of International Press Center, Mr. Lanre Arogundade, gives an overview of the report.
The pre-assessment report arrived at a number of preliminary conclusions in relation to the thematic areas covered, the observed progress, and the highlighted concerns. It outlines important next steps by INEC, the political parties, the security agencies, the media, the civil society organizations, and other stakeholders towards enhancing the prospect for a peaceful, inclusive, and non-violent 2025 Anambra election. Among these are enforcing strict penalties for vote buying, with security agencies and INEC officials being more proactive in detecting and apprehending of offenders during the ongoing campaigns and on election day. Additionally, widespread multi-stakeholder initiatives should be launched across communities, marketplaces, and youth groups, entailing the use of local languages and emphasizing the illegality and detrimental effects of vote buying. By way of our preliminary conclusion and proposed urgent steps, We're also calling for the strengthening of election logistics to ensure timely delivery of materials, building on recent positive experiences and lessons learned from the August by-elections. Like I said, we have 66. Some key ones have been identified.
There is progress in registration, with over 168,000 newly registered voters recorded. But insecurity remains critical across the 3 zones.
The finding here remains that Anambra has a history of exciting but sometimes violent political contestation. There is currently a highly competitive Guba race involving ABGA, the PDP, APC, Labour Party, with some fluid alliances. The August 2025 by-election violence in the state underscored the fragility of electoral infrastructure.
The Kuka Center also underscores the need for improved security for the election.
So it's important that non-state actors are not included in election security because there is no legal basis for their participation.
With the proposed recommendations, the international organizations are hopeful that the National Assembly members will utilize its report to strengthen electoral integrity.
But by all who wish.
Still ahead on the news at 10, President Tinubu approves 15% tariff on petrol and diesel imports to protect local refineries. And that's in business news. Please join us again. Welcome back. You're still watching the news at 10 on Channels Television. And what you're watching right now on your screen is the aftermath of the multiple accidents that happened from last night to this very day. And that's the gridlock extending all the way to the Obanikoro area of Lagos. According to eyewitnesses, motorists are still there on the road and facing that gridlock. Away from that now, we head to Anambra State, where the people of South Local Government Area of Anambra have declared support for the African Democratic Congress, the ADC, in the November 8th governorship election in the state. The people made their position known when the ADC governorship candidate, John Chuma Nwosu, led the party's campaign council on a routine visit to the area.
The African Democratic Congress Governorship Campaign Council is in Umuezi Anam, Anambra West Local Government Area, as part of its campaign tour of local government areas in the state. The atmosphere is electrifying as party faithfuls turn out in numbers to welcome the party's governorship candidate, John Chuma Nwosu, and his entourage.
As you can see from the turnout of the people, it's a very strong party here, as long as this local government is concerned. ADC is deeply rooted. People are looking for alternative. People are tired of promises and promises, political talks. They want to see actions. They want to see promises being translated into action. And they are looking for someone who can, give them what they want, not just mere words. And they see that in His Excellency, Mr. John Nwosu.
The ADC governorship candidate, John Chuma Nwosu, thanks the people for the rousing welcome, assuring them of his commitment to their welfare.
They are good people. The joy I see on their faces receiving us, especially the elderly people. It shows that they are really the food basket of our state, but they need full encouragement from the government. They have liaised with them on what are the problems, which they stem from insecurity down to lack of assistance in agriculture, which I promise to give them the seed money and also the implements to start agriculture.
The ADC governorship candidate is intensifying grassroots enlightenment as the November 8 election draws closer.
And as for residents of Idemili South and Nnewi North local government areas of Anambra State, they have lauded Governor Soludo for his remarkable strides in urban renewal, road rehabilitation and improved security across the state. In a show of solidarity, many residents turned out for a grand rally in Ojoto, pledging their commitment to a resounding victory in the forthcoming governorship election.
A massive crowd gathered at the Idemili South Council headquarters in Ojoto to endorse Governor Soludo and Deputy Dr. Onyekachukwu Ibezim for re-election, citing achievements in security, urban renewal, free maternal and basic education, teacher recruitment, women inclusion, and extensive road development.
Welcome to your home. Idemili South is your home. Idemili in totality has affirmed that 4 + 4 is equal to 8. We must support Oluwatuegwu.
So we are very, very grateful. We want to also thank you for free education. Our primary school children now can now attend schools without paying shishi. I am personally grateful to Mr. Governor because I never knew that I could leave NYSC and land to my dream job, which is teaching, and I'm very, very much grateful.
This is time to pay back. We must have to pay you back. If not for anything, for the infrastructural development, security, women inclusiveness into your governance, and the others.
Yeah.
Mr. Governor, you have been doing all these things without following cover. Even when they lender you offer, you rejected it.
Various support groups presented financial contributions to back Governor Soludo's re-election. The governor appreciated the gesture, reaffirmed commitment to sustained development, and urged residents to overcome voter apathy in Idemili South and vote massively for APGA.
I want to thank you all for your support over this last 3 years and a half. Very importantly, I must put on record and have the opportunity, since I'm on this particular venue, to thank Idemili South for your massive support to my deputy and I at the last governorship election in 2021. We won Idemili South landslide. We won landslide in Idemili South. And here we come again, 2025.
Nnewi Triangle hosted the Nnewi North rally for Governor Soludo and Deputy Dr. Onyekachukwu Ibezim as leaders and residents, including Senator Emmanuel Nwachukwu and Minister Bianca Ojukwu, affirmed support for the continuation of the Solution administration, citing visible progress.
What I'm promising you today is that next coming November 8th, be next week, Saturday, we all the youth of Nnewi, both our families, we are coming out to support you in full squad.
Governor Soludo says the solution agenda focused on human capital growth and shared prosperity will continue, adding that Nnewi North is now fully aligned with the administration.
We are motivating you to go out there and vote. Get out, everybody. Get your wives, your husbands, your dad, your mother, your daughter, your son. Get out and vote. All I can say to you, we not. And in the Anambra is that we will never let you down.
Supporters donated over 50 million naira to his re-election campaign as he urged them to secure victory across all 10 wards.
Nigeria's First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, says that President Bola Tinubu's historic economic reforms and close partnership with the nation's private sector have positioned Nigeria to fund its own tuberculosis fight and reduce dependency on external sourced donations overall. The First Lady made this known at the Global Stop TB Board meeting in Manila in the Philippines. Meanwhile, the federal government has announced the contribution of $54 million to the global fight against the scourge.
Thanks to the staff of the Department of Health.
The 39th Stop TB Partnership Board meeting convened over 180 participants from 47 countries to review progress and strategize the global fight against tuberculosis. Nigeria's First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, who is a global TB champion, is accompanied by the Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Muhammad Pate, at the summit. Delegates emphasized the need for nations to take greater ownership of their TB response to ensure long-term sustainability, reducing reliance on external aid. Nigeria's First Lady addressed the meeting on the federal government's partnerships to address the scourge.
True progress must be anchored in national investment, domestic resource mobilization, and local accountability. Nigeria is therefore strengthening its commitment to reduce reliance on donor funding, to build resilient systems, and to ensure that no setback, however unexpected, will derail our mission to end TB. Coming together for the Stop TB Partnership Board meeting reminds us that the fight against tuberculosis is not over and that TB remains the biggest infectious killer disease and is a threat to all of us being airborne.
According to data from the Federal Ministry of Health, an estimated 479,000 Nigerians developed tuberculosis in 2023 and more than 150,000 deaths were recorded. Nigeria is also among the 8 countries that account for 2/3 of global TB cases. A key theme during the discussion is how to navigate the ongoing challenges presented by shifts and gaps in donor funding, prompting the call for resilient domestic systems. The Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare announced a historic contribution from Nigeria to the global fight against tuberculosis.
What we're seeing is improved tax collection and the tax reforms at the macro level that are providing a path to increase revenue over time. So the last 2 years have been very difficult, but with the increase in revenue, we're seeing line of sight to Nigeria getting additional resources and then channeling those resources to the social sectors, health, education, and other areas. We've had a national financing dialogue to ensure that the federal government's commitments is matched by the subnational governments, because we have intergovernmental transfers. State governments will also have to raise their allocations so they complement what the federal government is doing.
The meeting is taking place within the context of the global plan to end tuberculosis by 2030.
Itel Energy, one subsidiary company under Transition Holding, a powerhouse in telecommunication and energy solutions, has reaffirmed its commitment to providing tailor-made solutions through its hybrid inverters suitable for all electricity demand. Its Itel Energy, which is a major participant at West Africa's biggest energy showcase in Lagos, says its pocket-friendly products have been built to survive Africa's peculiar weather.
Hall 1 and booth G10 is the stand right here at the West Africa's biggest energy. As Itel Energy is showcasing renewable power solution it calls the Clean Power Revolution. These are Itel's hybrid inverters that serves various purposes and for energy needs of any category of clientele.
You know, from the Itel brand that has been around in the mobile industry for over 10, 12 years, we've taken learnings. We understand the pain points of Nigerians. And right now, the biggest issue that we have as a country is power. And that's why we have gone into the energy business to create solutions in that sector. Whether you are a business, a household, an influencer, a student, a freelancer, you work from home, we have gone to the point where we have a product for you. We have a product that solves your energy problem, that gives you that opportunity, that leverage, and you can as well just go to bed when the grid collapses or there is no power for several hours. You have a reliable, portable and affordable backup that can give you power for for a minimum of 8, 10, 12 hours.
Backed by several years of success in the telecommunication solutions, Itel Energy says it brings to the country portable, reliable, affordable hybrid inverters that are weatherproof, batteries that support high discharge power with wide temperatures ranging from 20 degrees to 60 degrees.
So we have various distributors all across the country, and we have warehouses, so you don't have to pick from Lagos or Abuja only. We have in Kano, Akure, Ibadan, Port Harcourt, Enugu. So you can get, especially the all-in-ones in all shops. You can walk into mobile shops and ask for the all-in-one. Our all-in-one has partnership with EasyBuy, so you can even do the package of you buy and you pay gradually. So you can buy on credit, pay down payments, then you can complete the rest payment. So any mobile shop, then anywhere they sell solar, you can see our product there.
Itel Energy says a new and clean power revolution is here, and it is arriving right at your doorstep with a replacement warranty, after-sales service, and product spread across the country.
Welcome to Business News. Now, one of Nigeria's leading cable manufacturing companies, Coleman Technical Industries Limited, marked another major milestone with the commissioning of its second fiber optic factory in Shagamu, Ogun State, southwest Nigeria. And the event, which also coincides with the company's 50th anniversary, is seen as a significant step toward advancing the nation's industrial and digital transformation agenda. Now, the Minister of State of Industry, Trade and Investment, Jumoke Oduwole, and the company's Managing Director and CEO, George Onofookon, spoke on their expectations from the multi-billion-naira state-of-the-art facility.
A new era for digital connectivity has now arrived in Nigeria and Africa as Coleman Technical Industries Limited, makers of renowned Coleman wires and cables, officially commissions its second multi-billion-naira fiber optic factory in Shagamu area of Ogun State. The high-profile event drew top government officials, captains of industries, traditional rulers and other top dignitaries to also witness the celebration of its 50th anniversary.
It is truly a pleasure to join you all.
In their remarks, the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Jumoke Oduwole, and the Minister of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy, Bosun Tijani, commended the company's role in boosting local production capacity and driving Nigeria's industrial and digital transformation.
This factory, the largest of its kind in Africa, signals more than cables and conduits. It represents the lifeline of Nigeria's digital economy. It symbolizes the arteries through which data, opportunity, and innovation will flow across our nation.
To be able to deploy that fiber, we will need to train a lot of young people. And we're already talking to Coleman and the American partner, Coleman, to see how we can actually bring 5,000 young people from all over the country.
The invited guests had a chance to witness the commissioning of what is now one of the largest fiber optic facilities in West Africa. Speaking at the event, the Managing Director, Mr. George Onofookon, reaffirmed the company's vision to position Nigeria as a regional hub for industrial technology and export.
Now that we've achieved scale, which has basically become the biggest cable company in terms of fiber optics in Africa, the next scale is to actually do a draw tower. The draw tower is to be able to produce the fiber in country, and that's where our next scale is. It's over $100 million initial investment.
This single largest manufacturing facility for fiber optic cable infrastructure would totally transform our digital economy. By the establishment of this, we have added an additional 9 million linear kilometers of fiber cable manufacturing capacity, and that's to an existing 3 million linear kilometers that's already existing.
With the commissioning of this second fiber optic factory, Coleman Technical Industries Limited reinforces its position as a key player in Nigeria's industrial revolution, setting new standards for local manufacturing and global competitiveness.
Now, President Bola Tinubu has approved the introduction of a 15% import tariff on petrol and diesel imports into Nigeria in proportion to the estimated value of the commodities. In a letter addressed to the Federal Inland Revenue Service and the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, President Tinubu directed the immediate implementation of the tariff as part of what the government described as a market-responsive import tariff framework. Now with that, we head to the domestic equities market, which records a straight day of losses as investors continue profit-taking on the floor of the exchange. Larry Williams has the details.
Hello and welcome to the stock market report. Well, from a big over 4% rise in the previous week, this week, 3 days of trading now in the red, and today 0.38%, but still close to all-time highs, 153,000 points for the all-share index, market cap 97 trillion naira. Let's look at the Guinness chart now. We see Owando, that's topping the counter, closing at 46 naira. 80 Kobo up 9.99%. The company released its unaudited Q3 earnings. Profit after tax surged 164%. Oil production up 30% year-on-year to 38,000 barrels of oil equivalent per day. Overall, Owando's 9 months 2025 earnings report is bullish, though with some cautionary notes on revenue and margin pressure. We see investors, they're happy there, about 9.99% rise. ICO Insurance also there, 5.26% up. Let's look at the losers chart now. We see Chams, that's topping the counter there, closing at 3.51 Kobo, big 10% dip. We see the market mover today, Arada Holdings Company, with a market cap of over 3 trillion naira. It also released its results today, reporting a pre-tax profit of 300.7 billion naira. So last trading week of October isn't looking so rosy, but on the bright side, month of October definitely in the green. Year-to-date gain still near 50%.
And let's see the closing numbers for other major equities now. And that's business. It's back to Anne for the rest of the news at 10.
Thank you, Will. Outside our shores, Buckingham Palace says the Prince Andrew is to lose his prince title and leave his Windsor mansion. Let's join Simon Pusey for this and other international news and around the world in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5.
But he's a very tough negotiator. That's not good.
The US President Donald Trump and Chinese leader Xi Jinping have made a series of announcements on closer trade ties following a bilateral meeting in South Korea.
Mr. President, you care a lot about world peace.
Donald Trump said the meeting was a 12 out of 10, while Beijing said the results were hard-won. The US will cut the so-called fentanyl tariff on Chinese goods entering the US from 20% to 10%. In return, China will start the purchase of massive amounts of soybeans and other farm products, according to the US president. China says they will make it easier for the US to buy rare earth minerals.
Well, we love that optimism, and certainly looking at the announcements, Trump has mentioned it's a great meeting. Now, interestingly, on the China side, their response has been more tempered, more general, but they haven't made any major contradictions either. So in many ways, this meeting represents more of a tactical pause than a strategic breakthrough, but given the history and trend of US-China relations, maybe that's the best we can expect.
Meanwhile, President Donald Trump has called on U.S. military leaders to resume testing nuclear weapons in order to keep pace with other countries, such as Russia and China. The U.S. has more nuclear weapons than any other country, Trump said, with Russia second and China a distant third. It has not conducted nuclear testing since 1992. It comes just days after Trump denounced Russia for testing a nuclear-powered missile. The Kremlin says its tests were not nuclear.
We have more nuclear weapons than anybody. We don't do testing. We've halted it many years ago. But with others doing testing, I think it's appropriate that we do also.
The leader of Sudan's paramilitary Rapid Support Forces has declared an investigation into what he called violations committed by his soldiers during the capture of El Fasher. The announcement by General Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo came after escalating reports of civilian killings following the RSF takeover of the city in the Darfur region. A spokesman for the group has since denied further accusations by medics that the RSF had killed more than 400 people at a hospital in the city on Tuesday. The scale of devastation left by Hurricane Melissa is becoming clear after the record-setting storm tore through Jamaica, Haiti and Cuba, leaving at least 32 people dead. New drone footage shows the extent of the damage on the island of Jamaica. Melissa made landfall on Tuesday as a Category 5 storm, where thousands of people remain without power. It was the strongest storm to have hit Jamaica, with sustained winds of 185 miles per hour. It is expected to make landfall in Bermuda later. Rob Jettin's centrist Liberal Party D66 are in a neck-and-neck race with the anti-Islam populist Geert Wilders in the Dutch election. That's according to almost complete results. With almost 99% of votes counted, both D66 and Wilders' Freedom Party were heading for 26 seats in the 150-member parliament, a projection from the Dutch news agency ANP. Initial exit polls had put Jettin in the lead. Millions of Dutch people have turned a page, he said. They've said goodbye to a politics of negativity.
What people do seem to be rewarding is on the one hand indeed having the appearance of sort of a normal and stable figure, but also to be the person who can effectively stand up against the radical rights.
Fresh protests have broken out in Tanzania's major cities, a day after elections marred by clashes between opposition supporters and the police. Gunfire was heard in the northern city of Mwanza, while clashes broke out in the capital Dodoma and the main city Dar es Salaam, which is under heavy security with major roads blocked. Protesters accused the government of undermining democracy as the main opposition leader is in jail and another opposition figure disqualified from the election. And Paris's public prosecutor says 5 more suspects have been arrested over their involvement in the Louvre heist. They were detained on Wednesday night in Paris during coordinated raids. One of the suspects is thought to be part of the 4-man team that carried out the heist, who was seen on CCTV.
And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel studios in Lagos.
Thank you, Simon. In the world of sports, a board member of the Nigeria Football Federation, Aisha Falode, says the country's football ruling house will be enforcing club licensing and national wage structure for clubs as the new Nigeria Women Football League Premiership is set to kick off in November. Falode, who represented President of the Nigeria Football Federation at the NWFL annual general meeting in Port Harcourt, the River State capital, says that henceforth the NFF will ensure a consistent league calendar. And the main news again. President Bola Tinubu has decorated the newly appointed service chiefs and directed them to intensify efforts against nationwide security threats and safeguard citizens. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Nwawadu. Good night.